times WWE actually explained a wrestler's changing character. The Undertaker in 2020. The 2020 program with AJ Styles ended up being The Undertaker's final ever WWE feud, and the feud itself was tremendous, as for the first time in years, The Undertaker deviated away from his established Deadman persona. The Deadman would introduce fans to the Holy Trinity, which in essence was his new character, which was a mix between the Deadman, the American Badass, and the man behind the character, that being Mark Calloway. To represent this character change, the Deadman would begin to wear bandanas again on TV, and his appearance was much more in line with the attire that The Undertaker would wear 20 years prior. On commentary, it was explained that AJ had pushed the Deadman too far, and as a result, The Undertaker had to unleash something that had been buried inside, and AJ was gonna face the wrath of the ultimate version of The Undertaker, even dropping the real-life name of The Undertaker, Mark Calloway. It was excellent storytelling, and the appearance change was logically explained in total canon and lore of The Undertaker character. Cesaro 2014. When Cesaro randomly surfaced on WWE TV with an eye patch, fans were baffled. It looked like at first that the former US champion had adopted a pirate-style gimmick, yet it was ultimately explained that Cesaro had an eye injury and he would be temporarily changing his look. This was addressed to fans on commentary as well as an official statement on WWE's website, which read, WWE.com has confirmed that Cesaro suffered an eye injury during his match with Kofi Kingston on Raw, thanks to what WWE physician Dr. Chris Amann described as a poke from Kingston's finger that rendered the eye red and swollen. We did some specialized testing and staining of the eye, which did show he had a scratch on the right side of his eye, which is called a sclera and not on the cornea, which is the clear part of the eye, said Amann. We're going to keep his eye patched for the next 24 to 48 hours, use some artificial tears and re-evaluate him tomorrow prior to his match. Although the new appearance was brief, and it only served the purpose of protecting Cesaro's eye, it gave him an incredibly unique look, and it made the Swiss Superman stand out. Chris Jericho in 2008. Upon returning to WWE in 2007, something was missing from Chris Jericho's presentation. Whilst Jericho was still over, and he was still performing at a high level, his catchphrases and his gimmick just wasn't landing fully with the 2007 audience. Therefore, following WrestleMania 24, WWE and Jericho put plans in motion that would see him turn into a heel and completely evolve his persona. Jericho was inspired by the Anton Chigurh character in 2007's hit movie No Country for Old Men, and also former NWA World Champion Nick Bockwinkel. When Jericho turned heel on Shawn Michaels and embarked in a Feud of the Year contender with HBK, Jericho shed the skin of his former character and he started to wear stylish suits. It was explained that Jericho was distancing himself from everything that came before, and Jericho wearing a suit was his signal to the audience that this was the new version of him. This version of Jericho led to arguably his greatest WWE run, as he would win the world title on numerous occasions and everything he did seemed to click into place. Jericho was also incredibly committed to making the heel persona work, and it would never break character outside of WWE. For instance, one time he ignored a young fan and his dad in a lift, and the dad cursed at Jericho for being so rude. Mankind 1998. Mick Foley was a king of character work during the Attitude Era, as every character that Foley portrayed was insanely over, and each of his three main central characters offered something unique to the audience. Following Foley's run in the main event scene as Dude Love following WrestleMania 14, WWE decided to have Foley revert to his Mankind persona. This would be a slightly altered version of the Mankind persona fans knew, as the Mankind character still wanted to impress Vince McMahon, so he decided to wear a shirt and tie for his matches. This would arguably be Mankind's most well-known look, as he kept his look until the early 2000s. The character change would be expertly delivered by Foley, and WWE did a fantastic job explaining why Foley was wearing a shirt and tie as opposed to his prior Mankind attire. Kane 2003. And when it leaked online that WWE were implementing plans to unmask Kane in 2003, there was immediate concern. Kane was an established character in a mask, and now WWE were going to strip that all away for a new storyline. Kane believed that the character had grown stale in a mask, and whether this is true is up for debate. Yet the concern was that Kane was supposedly severely disfigured, and WWE would have a difficult task in presenting Kane as some kind of monster without his trademark mask. When Kane eventually unmasked on Raw, it was revealed that Kane was basically a normal guy with a messy haircut. It would be explained to the audience directly by Kane that his appearance didn't alter in this so-called fire all those years ago, however it did impact his mental state, as all of the damage was inflicted psychologically. This was an ingenious way of covering up the plot hole, and it was a smart way for WWE to explain why Kane looked so normal to the audience. Kane would begin to wear the mask again years later, and WWE never attempted to outright state or even imply that Kane had magically been burnt again. The burns and damages was very much presented as being part of Kane's psychosis, as opposed to anything physical. John Cena 2018. It came as a huge surprise when John Cena resurfaced on WWE TV in 2018 with longer hair. Cena looked completely different and he looked considerably older. Some fans would even state that Cena was delivering his best JBL cosplay, as he looked almost identical to his former WWE rival. Cena had grown his hair out to film a new movie, and this was explained directly to the audience, and Cena also discussed it in depth during numerous media interviews. Paul Bearer 1997. Paul Bearer is one of the most legendary managers of all time, and his work, particularly during the late 90s, was superb, as Bearer was given more reign to deliver character and promo work, and Bearer knocked this out of the park. During his early years in the company, Bearer had a notorious look. He would dye his hair black, and he would use white makeup on his face to give it a spooky and intimidating look. But this would all change in 1997 when The Undertaker set Bearer's face ablaze with a fireball. Due to this fireball, it was explained on screen that Bearer needed to have facial reconstruction surgery, and once the wound had healed, Bearer completely changed his look. Bearer now looked like his ordinary self, and this was clearly done to modernize the Bearer persona, as it was possible that some within WWE believed that the prior Bearer character was too cartoonish for an Attitude Era audience. He did end up bringing the iconic look back a few times over the years, and this was likely due to the cash-in on nostalgia of Bearer and The Undertaker double act. The Undertaker 2012. In the lead up to The Undertaker vs Triple H inside a Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania 28, it was revealed that The Undertaker was completely broken following the WrestleMania 27 match the year prior. Despite the dead man winning, the game had taken him to his absolute limit, and he was a shell of his former self. This was a time period in which The Undertaker cut off his long black locks and decided to sport an incredibly short mohawk. When The Undertaker revealed this new look inside a Hell in a Cell, it received an audible reaction from the crowd, as Taker looked completely different, and viewers watching at the time were waiting to see if WWE offered a kayfabe explanation for the new look. The legendary Jim Ross on commentary did a great job in selling the dead man's new look, as he asked out loud, "What has happened to The Undertaker?" However, in terms of the kayfabe explanation, this responsibility awkwardly fell to Jerry the King Lawler, who did an okay job with the lines fed to him. Lawler would say that he just heard the reason for The Undertaker's new look, which was an odd line, as it was never made clear who had given Lawler this top secret information. Nevertheless, Lawler explained that The Undertaker had been cutting off his hair on a daily basis until the game accepted the WrestleMania matchup. Whilst this was appreciated that WWE attempted to offer at least an explanation for the new appearance for the dead man, this explanation was lackluster at best. In the kayfabe world of WWE, why would The Undertaker cutting off his hair on a daily basis make Triple H accept a match? It was a bizarre explanation that didn't enhance the story of the match or the lore of The Undertaker. A smarter explanation would have been for the WWE to state that the dead man went through a physical and mental transformation heading into the match, and that Taker wanted to switch things up. This new haircut was one of the changes the dead man made. But there you have it, folks. Times WWE actually explained a wrestler's changing character. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.